As we told you last week, it was incredible to see how Donald Trump and his team hit the ground running, changing things on day one, and it's still going. The Defence Secretary, newly confirmed Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth, has had his first full day of work at the Pentagon now, and there's plenty for him to get through.
There are more executive orders coming that we fully support on removing DEI inside the Pentagon, reinstating troops who were pushed out because of COVID mandates, Iron Dome for America. This is happening quickly. And as the Secretary of Defense, it's an honor to salute smartly, as I did as a junior officer and now as the Secretary of Defense, to ensure these orders are complied with rapidly and quickly.
Yeah, he might not have a lot of experience running huge organisations, but as I said to Kristen Tate in the US, Pete Hegseth is going to love shaking up the culture wars inside defence.
Yeah, he has a lot of common sense. And if what they do with the military is anything like what they've been doing with immigration and other matters, I suspect things will happen very quickly. And we need this, Chris. Our military has become weak and feminized. And also, I want to hit on one thing Pete Hegseth mentioned there about the COVID vaccines. Over 8,000 troops were let go by our military because they refused to inject an experimental drug, essentially, into their bodies. Those people will now get an opportunity to rejoin the forces with full back pay. So this is great news for America and great news for our military.
Yeah, it is great news. It also underscores just the madness that's been afoot because I've been running on this program a campaign for years about some of our police and fire officers and others who haven't been able to go back to work because of vaccine mandates. Most of that's been fixed now, but it just astounds me that a country that needs good people in its defence forces like America have 8,000 people still out there.
That's right. And, you know, that may have been a feature, not a bug for the Liberals, because it allowed them to get rid of all of the people who were not willing to go along with the Liberal agenda. It was ideological purging. Those days are done now. We are going to build a smart, strong force of capable people. And I love that Trump and Pete Hegseth do not support the lowering of standards for our troops. We had become so weak with the previous administration. That hopefully changes now.
Yeah, now another example of that goes into the civilian world. Again, it's a hangover from all the COVID overreach, and that is, of course, people working from home. I loved the executive order from Donald Trump on day one saying, no, people are going to have to turn up for work if they work for the federal government. Have a look at this reaction from a federal government worker.
I am so mad. And honestly, I also feel for the parents. They're going to need to figure out childcare. They're going to have to commute. So many people don't live in DC and have to drive so far every single day. This sucks. This sucks.
I mean, perish the thought, Kristen. Childcare and commuting, that's what we've all always done.
Welcome to the real world, sweetheart. I mean, these people are going to have to learn how to cope with real life the way everybody else does. The federal government has gotten way too big, so I'm hoping some of these people kind of just quit instead of actually having to go to the office and work. I wrote a whole book about the federal workforce called Government Gone Wild. The federal government is the biggest employer in this country. The DoD alone, Chris, employs 3 million people. We've got another 3.7 million federal contractors that are basically de facto employees. It has gotten way out of control. You wouldn't believe some of the waste and abuse that goes on in these departments. My dad used to be a federal contractor, and he said that they had these use it or lose it budgets. And every year, every single employee would get a brand new tens of thousands of dollars worth of computer equipment, and they would just run them as heaters because they had nothing to do with all this equipment. But these departments go around and spend money because if they don't spend the money, they lose it. And the employees, many of them are useless and lazy. So hopefully a lot of these people quit and the good ones come back to work and are willing to be productive.